Hi everybody, Steve from Steve's Makerspace, and we are in p5.js. Last time I showed off my Mandala Pattern Maker, and I promised that I would show off how to make this from scratch, a version of this. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles that this one has, but it will be, I think, pretty close. So the way this basically works is it draws a petal along the outside, and then it continues drawing that same petal all the way around. And then it moves in a little bit and it starts drawing a different petal along the outside. It goes all the way around and continues, and each petal inside is a little bit smaller than the petal on the far right. So we're going to start with a fresh canvas, and first thing we want to do, let's get rid of this draw, and we'll add a background. And then let's make the canvas a little bit bigger and start that. So got a black background. We're going to be drawing from the center, so we want to translate to the center of the canvas. Let's do width divided by 2, height divided by 2. And just to show that we're in the middle of the canvas, we'll do a circle at 0, 0 and make it 10 wide, and you see there's a circle. I readjusted the canvas so you can see it better. So the next thing we want to do is we want to make part of a petal, and to do that I'm going to use a curve vertex. So to talk about the curve vertex, this is an example of a curve vertex. It has a starting point, an ending point, and then these 2 points in the middle. It can actually have more than 2 points in the middle. It can have as many as you want to make the curve. But for these purposes, I'm going to have 4 total points. And the syntax for this is begin shape, curve vertex for all the coordinates, and then an end shape. And actually, I'll just copy this to make it a little bit easier for me. And we'll paste that here. Y1 is always going to be 0, so let's just get rid of that variable. And for some reason, it wants the same variables twice, and I'm not quite sure why. But we'll do, this one is also going to be 0 at the end, because I want the beginning and ending of the curve to be right on the y-axis. Let's declare all these variables at the top. Then right before we do the shape, we'll give these variables some numbers. Let's start with x4 first. If we have a 500 canvas and we've translated to the center, then the edge of the canvas is 250. So let's just start with x4 at 245, and then the x2 and x3 we want a little bit further to the left. So let's say x3 is 235 and x2 is 220. X2 is 225 and x1 is 215. Let's say y2 is 50 and y3 is 100. And I should put semicolons right here. So that should give me a shape. Let's see. That is not the shape I was going for. What did I do wrong? Oh, I think this is actually working exactly the way I told it to work. I just didn't give these very good numbers. Let's back these up some. So let's make this 225 and this one 205 and this one 195. And then let's try making this maybe 70 instead of 100. All right, so now there's a curve. So we've got half of a petal. And if I were to just copy this and draw it over again, but put the y's to negative, then we'll have the other half of the petal. So now, instead of this being hard-coded numbers, let's get some randomness in here. So let's say x1 is going to be random. Let's have it be around 185 to 205 maybe. All right, so we've got a shape. If I hit start again, I should get a different shape. I'll hit start again, I get a different shape, and so forth. Next, let's put this in a for loop and make it go around in a circle. So to do that, what we're going to do is rotate the canvas. Let's just start by doing another begin shape, end shape. Copy the whole thing just so you can see how this works. And if I say rotate 30, so we've rotated the canvas. Let's see. I think for this to work properly, though, I need to change my angle mode to degrees because right now it's in radians. So let's do that maybe here. We'll say angle mode degrees. There we go. So you can see it drew a petal, it rotated 30 degrees, it drew another petal. So let's do another variable that is petals. And in here, let's say, actually, let's get rid of this circle. We don't need that. And let's say petals equals 30 right here. So if I just put that here, we should get the same thing. Yep. So, but now we want, instead of doing this over and over again, we want a for loop. So we'll take out this. We'll start here. We'll say for let I equal 0. So we're going to do 360 degrees because we want to go around. So we'll say 360 divided by petals. And then I++, which is what you want to do if you're adding 1. Let's see. Oh, I didn't do that right. I put petals down here. What I really want is angles or something like that. Right. If I'm saying how many petals there are, what I really want is to translate that into angles. So let's put ANG for angles. Yeah, let's put the petals up here. Petals equals 30. And then let angle, if petals equals 30, then angle equals 360 divided by petals. That makes more sense. Then we're going to rotate not by petals, but by angle. Then we don't need 360 divided by petals. We just need to put angle in here because I've already done that calculation here. So I've done the for. Now I need to do a brackets so that I can put the begin shape, end shape within the brackets. We add a bracket at the end. That should do it. Let's do a saved. And okay. It looks like it's drawn half the petals. I think I want to rotate angle times 2, maybe? Okay, I'm missing something. What am I doing wrong? Oh, I did want petals here, I think. Let's see. Or is it petals divided by 2? Let me see. Okay, petals divided by 2 works. That's what I want. And do I need angle times 2 or just angle times 1? I do need angle times 2. Okay. Oops. Times 2. There we go. This is Steve from the future with a slight correction. If I do petals by itself, then I can do angles by itself, and it works just fine. So that's much simplified. Now I notice there's a little bit of a line in between the two vertex. I think we can get rid of that by adding a line. So a line from x1 0 to x4 0. And then we want that line to have a stroke of 365. Still there. Let's give this line a stroke weight of 5. Let's see. Okay, let me hit start again. There we go. That seems to have gotten rid of the line. Now the petals are often overlapping. So that's a problem. That's because these random numbers for the Y are really too large. If I were to make these a lot smaller, then we wouldn't get so much overlap. There we go. But what we really want is for the Y to be just large enough, the maximum random number, so that it touches the petal next to it but doesn't overlap it. So that is a little tricky. We need to use trigonometry. Let me go back to this example I had over here. If I've got an angle, say this is a 30-degree angle, then this forms a right triangle. So if I know that this is 30 degrees, I have a right triangle, and if I know the length of this x, say I choose the x first as a random number, then I'll be able to calculate where the y should be. This is just a trigonomic formula. The formula is the y2 equals the x2 times the tangent of the angle. So let's put that in as our y2 maximum is going to be x2 times the tangent of the angle. And let's do the same thing for y3 maximum. Do I want x2 or x3 here? Let's do x3 times tangent of the angle. Not sure if this is right or not. Let's take a look. All right, so we've got some touching. Actually, let's get rid of this and just say that the y2 is going to be equal to this number, just so we can see what the maximum is. Okay, let's give the petals an outline. We'll say stroke. Okay, there's blue. It's overlapping a little too much. It's close, but still overlapping quite a bit. Let me try changing this to x2. Does that help? That does help. It's not overlapping quite as much. Maybe do x2 times 0.9 just to make it a little less overlap. There we go. Now they're just barely touching. So let's put some randomness back in. And actually, let's just call this some new variable. We'll say this is let's call it max x2. And then we can say let x2 equal random 5, comma max x2. Actually, I can't do the let there because I've already declared it. All right, and then y3 equals random 5, comma max x2. We'll get rid of all that. And that doesn't look right. What did I do? Oh, I see what I did. This is supposed to be y2. There we go. Very good. Now we're getting somewhere. So now we've got petals along the outside. So we want to make some more petals coming farther in. Actually, let's give it some color before we do that. Make it a little bit more interesting. And what I like to do, instead of using red, green, blue, RGB, I like to switch it up to HSB, hue, saturation, brightness, because then I have control over the brightness in particular. So let's change the color mode to HSB, and then we have to tell it what numbers we want to use with that. So we'll do 360, 100, 100. Do I need another one? I can't remember. Then for the petals, this would have to be before we start drawing the petals. We'll do what the colors are. Let the hue equal random 256. Saturation equal random between, let's say, 70 and 100. Let's do the brightness to be also random between 70 and 100. And then we're going to do fill, hue, saturation, brightness. Okay. And then our line also needs to be hue, saturation, brightness. So the outline appears to be red now. Let's do the outline, let's say 0 saturation and 0 brightness. That should be a black outline, I think. So now we got different colors. Great. And maybe the alpha. Let's do a random alpha as well, I think. Let the alpha equal random between 70 and 100. Actually, ALPH makes better sense. Alpha. And then we'll do that down here as well. Now, I'm not sure that worked. Do I need, when I declare this, to also, to change the color mode, maybe the alpha also needs to be determined right here. Yeah, I think that has alpha now. Looks like the line doesn't have alpha. Did I not put alpha in the line? That's interesting. Not sure why it's doing that. Seems like the line is longer than the curve, and I don't understand why that would be. Well, I can't figure it out right now, so I'm just going to take the line out. Guess I'll figure it out later, maybe. So I think we're ready to do the next layer of petals, but we have hard-coded these numbers in, and that's just not going to do, because if we want the next layer of petals to be farther in, we're going to need to multiply. If we multiply those numbers times, say, a percentage, the next layer of petals will all be farther in, and I think they'll also get smaller as a result of that. This is something new I'm trying that I didn't do in my Mandala Maker that I showed off. So let me think about this. So I think I have an idea. If, let's say we had 10 layers that we wanted, and if the first layer was 10 out of 10, that would be 100%, 10 over 10. And the second layer, say you go down to 9, then that's 9 out of 10, and that's 90%, and so forth until you get to the first layer, the layer in the center, the last one, and that's 10%. So let's do that, which means that instead of counting up for the layers, we'll count down. So let's first say at the beginning, we'll say let layers equal 10 maybe. So then we're going to want another for loop before this for loop, and that for loop is going to include all the calculations of these variables, which are going to wind up changing for each petal each time it goes through to another layer. So all of this would stay the same, but starting here, this would change. So let's do for, let's think for a second, let layer equal layers. So it's going to start at the maximum, so this will start at 10. Then we want layer is greater than 0 and layer minus minus. So this is going to start from 10 because that's what how many layers I've got is 10. It's going to count down, this is minus 1, until it gets to 0. I hope I did that right. If I didn't do it right, I could get into a nasty forever loop. So I'm going to do a save on this just to make sure I don't mess it up. And then we're going to go down to the bottom and close, do another brackets. Then for all of these things, we're going to multiply by layer. Let me shorten that to ly. That'll make my life a little easier. And multiply each of these by ly. Do another save, and let's hit start and see what happens. Nothing. Well, that's a bummer. What did I do wrong?
5 hours later.
I know what I did wrong. I'm kind of a big dummy. Let's just change this to let j greater than 0, j minus minus, and then let ly equal layers divided by j. This should work. There we go, but it's going the wrong way. What's going on? It seems like it's going bigger instead of smaller. Is that what's happening? I see what I'm doing wrong. I got these backwards. J divided by layers. There we go. Now we're going with inside. Wow. it's basically done now. We can change the number of layers. Let's say we want 20 layers. Oop. That's not very good. Okay. Let's say we want 8 layers. Interesting. Okay, so that sort of works. And if we want to change the number of petals, we'll say we want 20 petals instead of 30. Now it's actually, I think this is 20 half petals. If I do 21, what do I get? Ah, interesting. So I'm definitely, we're on the right track here. We could randomize the petals and the layers, but the layers doesn't seem to be working properly. Let's just play with the petals a little bit more. Say 11 petals, 10 petals. We'll do 40 petals, 41. There we go. So we definitely got something here, but I would like to be able to do like 40 layers, and it just makes it really tiny instead. So that is not working. Let's do a save on that before I mess it up. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I changed this to 10 just to test it, and I forgot to change it back. This is actually supposed to be layers. So now, if I change this to 40, there we go. Now we're getting it. So that's pretty good. Let's maybe, I wonder if we want to change this to be maybe 15. What would that do? And let's put the layers down to 20. All right, and let's go ahead and we'll make this part of the randomization. We'll say let petals equals random, let's say 8 through 40, and let layers, and that's going to have to be below this. Let layers equal random. We'll do, say, 4 and 40. And actually, we could just do let angle down here and get rid of that. So something is going to happen because the petals, if I make the petals random between 8 and 40, I'm also going to get decimals. I'm not going to get whole numbers. So I should get more variety in my petals. Yeah, so I've got some spirals going on. So that is interesting, but if you wanted to get rid of the spirals, then we could do petals equals round random comma 0, and now we'll have more uniformity. So up to you whether you want to round this or not. I'm hitting the start button. You don't see that. Let me change my view a little bit. Yeah, so I'm just hitting the start button each time. So I think we're done. I mean, you could play with some of these numbers if you wanted to get different curve shapes. We could allow for more overlap if you wanted. Say, we'll say this multiply by 2, and that's going to give us more overlap, like so. But I'll leave it like this. Let's change the alpha so that it goes down farther. We go down to 40 maybe. Do I still have outline on everything? Let's take the stroke off so we don't have an outline. That didn't work. Why didn't that work? Ah, I've got the stroke here. Let's take it off there. No, I'm still getting an outline. I think I need to do no stroke. That's what I need to do. Try that. There we go. There's no stroke. That makes the transparency better. Yeah. So that could be another thing that you could randomize. We could say randomize whether you have stroke or no stroke. Yeah, but this is working pretty well. Kind of close to what I had come up with. So I'm going to save this, and there'll be a link to this code in the video description. If you like this video, you can give it a like, consider subscribing to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. Comments are always welcome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.
Steve's Makerspace.